Welcome into a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here, presented by Go Chevrolet. GEAUX Chevrolet.com is where you can find the crew. If you're looking for a brand new Chevy to get into today, we will talk LSU football an hour from now with Brody Miller. Looking forward to that conversation, as Brody's got some really good write-ups over at The Athletic on the state of the LSU football program heading into this offseason after a 5-5 campaign last season. What some of the offseason stories are for LSU around the quarterback situation. We will talk to Brody coming up here at 8 o'clock this morning. Get you set up for LSU Texas A&M on the baseball diamond this afternoon. That'll be over in College Station as game one on this Thursday. LSU needing to take two to keep their postseason life alive.
Take three. Make it easy.
That would be great. ESPN praising Will Wade and the LSU basketball program. Heads up.
Skyfall.
Surprise.
And a classic for the NBA.
NBA's back, dude. NBA's back. We wait 82 games for that.
What a game last night over in Staples Center. I fell asleep. I did not watch the entire game. I made it through about halfway through the first quarter.
And caught some of the. It's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, well, I mean, Steph and Golden State came out on fire. Andrew Wiggins was playing out of his mind.
Well, hey, LeBron traded him. He played a little revenge game.
I remember that, LeBron.
Yeah.
Kevin Love.
A revenge game for Wiggins.
So we'll talk a little bit about that coming up here on the Jordy Culotta Show here on this Thursday morning, and what's turning out and looking like what is going to be a soggy Thursday to continue the theme of the week down
Yesterday
here.
was beautiful.
It was. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It was a beautiful day yesterday as the sun.
And we called the weather guy yesterday. Like, oh, it's going to rain, right? It's a layup for you.
Alvarado,
not
man,
a cloud in the sky.
Talking about the blowout.
Talking about it being his Super Bowl. And he was like, yeah, I mean, the busiest day of the year probably. And then he doesn't have to do a thing.
And then
take the tie off.
This is some bunk report saying it's going to be wet all day.
He was looking.
If you want the weather, watch the news.
So we'll see how the day shapes out, but it looks like it's brewing up again here in South Louisiana. So hopefully everybody out there is safe and sound as you catch us this morning. We're brought to you, as we said, by Go Chevrolet Daily Coffee. Daily Our Coffee is brought to you by Majestic Brews, locally brewed down here in South Louisiana. DeliciousSips.com is where you can find them. And everybody on the phone line, Brody Miller coming up an hour from now. Compliments of Metropolitan Health Group. Real doctors, real solutions. Everybody over there, Jason Ramazan, who we told you we will be giving you more information on how you can take a trip out to the UCLA LSU game with Mr. Fun's Travel coming up in August as they get prepared for game one of the LSU football season.
I'm looking at ticket prices for that. Holy smokes.
Where are they?
$500.
Really?
The cheapest.
You know what? I would
wait.
I would wait.
I don't know if they sell out.
You think UCLA? I don't think UCLA.
Oh, that's a big game for them.
Oh man, I think not only UCLA but just the going back to stadiums, and I mean what an absolute ticket. LSU's been trying to get to the Rose Bowl for I don't know, it seems like 30 years. So it's like a bucket list trip for everybody down here.
That place is
and it's going to be packed.
Right?
That stadium's cool.
It's going to be, I think, just aesthetically,
Yes.
it's going to be something that LSU fans have. I mean, I can remember my grandfather talking about like how cool it would be to see LSU in the Rose Bowl, to just see the sun setting, the mountains in the back, the
First
the
time in the
colors
packed stadium, I might cry. I would cry.
I mean, the Rose Bowl has the greenest grass of any grass I've ever seen.
Well, it's just the presentation of the place.
Oh, it's very grand.
It's unbelievable. I mean, have you ever been out there?
No.
It's like built
I've been in LA.
into a mountain. It's like built, you almost walk down into it to get to it. So it is absolutely one of the great venues of college football, and a place that LSU has just not been in. I mean, just it feels like a century. When you talk about it, they've never been to the Rose Bowl. They've never played out there.
It's the last time they even played out west.
Washington?
Yep, Jake Locker.
Yet? Washington, maybe 2010.
That's a slept-on stadium.
Is it?
Husky Stadium. It's built on the river.
Yeah,
It's built on the water.
I think it's loud.
I've not been there, but I heard stories from people that went there for that game And then Scott Woodward, of course, was the athletics director there for a while, and he always talks about just how cool of a place it is.
They have like this large like covering or like just structure over it, like it's built like on a cove over it, so the noise bounces off it and it comes back into the
kind of like
stadium.
Autzen.
Yeah, so it's just so loud.
Oregon Stadium is built like that?
Yeah, the
Autzen,
sound just like ricochets off everywhere because they only have
54,000.
Yeah, 54,000 in a college football stadium, and they say that's one of the loudest places in college football.
Wow. All right, so Jack's here, Noah's here, Lizzie's here. Get inside of the bunker if you want to interact. I'm seeing that a little bit happening with the website.
That's what I'm checking on now.
All right, we're checking on that, so just hang tight. We'll make sure and get that over and see if we can't get that fixed up. And as we said, we'll talk to Brody Miller coming up here in about an hour on the state of LSU football. And if you haven't read his piece, I recommend that you first off get a subscription to The Athletic, because it is it's a collection of writers that are very talented and have great relationships. And Jeff Duncan was here yesterday talking New Orleans Saints. He's a part of The Athletic, and Brody Miller, who will be here in an hour, is also a part of The Athletic. And he talks about, and we'll ask him about this, about Ed Orgeron answering his first question when he had access to the coach, just a couple of in previewing this story, and asking if he felt the pressure from the executives, from the fundraisers, from the boosters after a 5-5 season last year that seemed to just be marred in turmoil, just turmoil everywhere, right? I mean, no matter where you looked, it seemed like LSU was dealing with one issue after another, and that was coming off of a high and really a parade of just what felt like eternal job security.
From,
You know what I mean?
From everything he touched the year before, it was gold. Everything he did was gold. To the next year, within the year, 365 days later, just everything was rotten. Just everything that could have went wrong.
It started, and it even leaked into the off season, right? I mean, when COVID really started to be pronounced, and the state was looking for a messenger. If you remember, Orgeron did that message from his balcony outside of his office that within like 2 hours had like 2.5 million hits. I mean, it was something
awesome.
that went viral, and the state really embraced Orgeron in that role. And then you started to see the race breakdowns within the locker room, the Title IX stuff really starting to come out.
Off the field photo.
The personal stuff that was happening with Orgeron in and around his public relations was really going sideways.
Him and a rando.
Right. I mean, some of the comments he was making publicly about the championship season and about some of the guys on the staff wasn't really adding up. And then you get into the season, and without even blinking, I mean, you can't even really get up off the ground in game 1 versus Mississippi State, and the thing looks wrecked. I mean, it looks like you've got a wrecked ship, and it doesn't look like
You haven't even left the port yet, dude.
It doesn't look like there is any room for fixing it. I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get this thing right at all. And really looking back on it, you almost have to give them credit for
Almost
saving that thing. Because, I mean, after the first couple of weeks, I thought they were going over.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they looked like they were, I mean, after that Missouri loss where they were
on the goal line,
they were still trying to find their footing after the Mississippi State game, but there was a tone and an energy to the program like, we're going to play Missouri.
Well, because we had played Vanderbilt in between.
That's right.
In between, and we crushed Vanderbilt, so we're like, okay, maybe we're awake now.
Maybe
That's right.
an anomaly. First game, new defense, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. Miles was a little gun shy that first half.
That's right.
Then he starts rolling versus Vanderbilt, and he played great against Missouri. Offense looked great, and then it was just like okay, we don't have a defense.
I think we forget the comment. I've never been so angry in my life. It was a week before the Mississippi State game. He throws a jab at Aranda. This is the best. This defense we have is better than the defense we had last year.
At any point in 2019, it's like, do you not remember the closing stretch that LSU football went on defensively?
Well, it was just very concerning. I thought it was very. It went against. It very tone deaf, very unaware, and it went against everything that he said he was going to be for the job. I mean, when he accepted the job, he understood the role that his strong suit was being able to manage people, recruit personnel into the program, and put those people in the right spots and let them run. Now you could see the push and the pull of, hey, I want the credit. Make sure that Orgeron is recognized as the guy that's getting all the credit. That's what he looked and sounded like almost a year ago at this time. Like he wanted all the way up into the season, and remarks like the defense being significantly better before the year even started than they were ever during a championship run just was very alarming looking back on it. Like, you should have been like, this is going to be, this is a sinking ship, because if, he is saying things like that where, I mean, you graduated guys like, Patrick Queen, Michael Divinity, Grant Delpit, Christian Fulton. I mean, just guys that were Caleb Von Chasson left the pro. I mean, just guys that were pros and guys that were stalwarts on championship teams, and that he couldn't recognize that, to me, was the more concerning part. Or that he could recognize that, but he was shifting his personality and shifting his stance on that it was more him than it was the people that he had brought in to allow that to happen. Either way, the credit's coming back to your doorstep. Either way, you're the guy that's the head coach of the program. So whatever is...
You're the guy that lifts a trophy if you win the national title.
Right, wrong, or indifferent, but you're also the guys that have to answer questions about Darius Geis. Right? I mean, it comes with a lot of responsibility, and I thought that, he lost focus on that. And the first question that Brody Miller asks him in the athletic feature in the state of the program, which is an excellent read, and as Brody is describing it in the write-up, he can sense the question and what it is during Brody's delivery. I mean, he's saying, as Brody so eloquently writes in the Athletic, Ed Orgeron could sense the tone of the question from the first few words, and soon came the subtle smirk that signifies he's looking forward to what he's about to say. The question had to do with pressure from his athletic director, pressure from the LSU fan base after a 5-5 season that was in constant turmoil, and how it had the effect. Orgeron says, I was born in Louisiana. I understand LSU's expectations, and I said it when I was hired. Nobody has to tell me LSU's expectations. I know exactly what LSU's expectations are, and I invite them. So I think that we can look at last season as an outlier, because you can sense the tone of Orgeron and his crew is getting back to the ways and the focus that brought them the success, right? Going out and finding a lifeline to Joe Brady, or finding someone that is in and around that mentality who brought you so much success, is a very smart move from a CEO's role. Going opposite of that last season and not interviewing Scott Linehan and Bo Pelini and really admitting that is showing just a sign of, unawareness and
I think also just, I don't want to say pride, but just such confidence. Like, everything I did last year was gold. I hired this guy down in New Orleans. No one knew who he was, and he's the hottest name in football. Best team ever. I ran the spread offense. I finally did it. So,
yeah, I mean, he gets credit for bringing offense back to LSU, essentially. Like, he's the one that made the biggest change that LSU needed to make for almost, 15 years, you would say, before, during the entire Les Miles era, everybody wanted to see LSU air it out and actually have a little offense. And so he gets credit for doing that and bringing in. I mean, he plugs and plays Cole Tracy. He plugs and plays Joe Burrow. He makes all these decisions. So I'm sure in his mind, dude, I got a little cachet to do whatever the hell I want. If I want to go get Scott Linehan, I can go get him and not talk to him. If I want to go get Bo Pelini and not talk to him, I can, because this shit works out for me. And now, I mean, it was a colossal failure.
I don't know if it could have gone any worse.
I don't think it could have.
I mean, I guess it could have if you just don't win a game, but and just the backlash, all the equity that was built up
It's gone.
for Orgeron is really gone. I mean, if you ask circles around town, or if you even try to check the pulse of the overall fan base, they are more or less ready to get back into Tiger Stadium just because they have not had the luxury of making that choice over the last year. But when you ask them what their feeling is around football, they're a little turned off by it right now, even in the sense of LSU's going to be competitive. They're going to be good. They're going to be back again. But I still think that there is now in people's mind a little bit of, where are we?
I use the term cautious optimism.
That's probably the best way to put it. I mean, there's a lot of people who are saying, yeah, we're ready to get back and support. Yeah, you see the roster. You see that LSU's got a very healthy quarterback competition going into the season. But how much do you trust your head coach? I mean, how much do you trust that the program is going into the right direction for the long term? Maybe in the short term, you make those, you can make those decisions where it shows that you're trying to find the best fit or whatever may be the best personnel and chemistry for both your staff and your roster. But there was some head-scratching comments. There were some head-scratching decisions. There were some head-scratching public relations that just make you a little weary. And overall, when you just check the pulse of the people who support the program at the highest level, there's a little bit of that concern of the tone when he was hired. Is this job maybe a little too big for him at this point? Now, he answered all those questions in coming in and winning, but as soon as he won, it looked like there was a lot of
Revert to the mean.
There was a lot of demons that were coming back up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what college football is, isn't it? It's Sisyphus pushing the rock up the hill. Like, you got to do it every time. You got to wake up and push that rock every day. Like, Nick Saban is the absolute gold standard for that. Like, he doesn't win he wins a national championship. He doesn't take the next year off.
He starts recruiting right
Yeah,
after,
and that was very much had the feel of somebody kind of, Coach O got very comfortable where he was and how he was doing things, and it all kind of blew up in his face. Like, as good as 2019 went, 2020 was the exact opposite.
He's good at being a hunter. Sometimes when you're hunted, it's a different game.
Catbird seat's different.
No doubt about it, man. I think there is absolutely a great teaching angle. There's a great teaching platform and motivational platform for you when you're the underdog, when you're the unexpected, when you're the guy that comes out of the pack. But when you're the hunted, when everybody's talking about you, I mean, don't think that we know enough people in recruiting, and the people listening and watching this probably have 6 degrees to Nick Saban somewhere in this town. He finds it, he gets joy out of crushing LSU. He gets absolute, it gets him excited to think about ruining their recruiting year with being able to come in and take away a Christian Harris or a Cam Robinson or a Landon Collins or somebody like that, a Dylan Moses, somebody like that. Saban loves it. Jimbo Fisher feels the same way. Fisher has that same type of...
What did we do, dude? We gave you a job. Come on.
I don't know if it's necessarily Jimbo may not have that feeling towards LSU. I think Saban has that built up from a lot of the fan base when he accepted that Alabama job early on. I mean, it was poisonous.
Well, he did it to himself.
It was just...
That was vitriol, dude. That was a bottle throw away from being a riot.
It was.
You could feel the tension in the stadium that first game. It was like these people would, if you got one shot at him, they would take it.
And that's the soundbite. That's the game that the soundbite came out of. Make him quit.
Oh.
I mean, was that 2008 LSU Alabama game? That was where that stuff leaked out of the locker room, and I mean, he gave a different pregame speech that day. It just means a little different. I think from Jimbo's standpoint, he knows that Louisiana's tucking away all this talent. You know what I mean? That they've got this incredible talent in all corners of the state, and that if you want to be competitive, you got to have some of these guys on your roster. And I think not necessarily that the most talented make sense for everybody, but just the mentality of putting a Louisiana-bred athlete on your team. They're just different.
What if you're taking one from Louisiana, you're essentially taking one from LSU. It's how they're thinking too. So if I can get this guy just on my campus, at least LSU doesn't have him.
West.
Yeah.
And to go back to the Nick Saban thing, I don't understand why would he? I mean, of course the fan base is mad. You left us at the altar, dude.
But he's a competitor.
Well, yeah.
And I mean, they're saying some things.
More than a competitor.
They're saying some things to him that, he's tucking away. I mean, he's coming over
Well, you
here.
earned it.
Yeah, he is. But he also understands. I mean, he's going to the Louisiana Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame this summer. I mean, I think he knows deep down that there is the reason why there's so much hate is because there's so much love.
And I think
what could have been.
You know what I mean? There's just it's
him realizing him realizing his own mistake, and he's like,
I mean, dude, the tales are as old as time of him in Miami calling Richard Gill, the late Richard Gill, who has since passed, who was the CEO of the Shaw Group at the time, who was Nick Saban's, one of his dearest friends in town. I mean, guys like Lenny Lemoyne, who runs Lemoyne Construction, is one of Saban's still to this day, his best friend. And, Richard Gill was his guy that he would say, at the time LSU didn't have private air. They didn't have private jets at the time. Shaw would allow Saban and the LSU coaching staff to use that to recruit. And when he was at Miami, there are tales of him calling back to Richard Gill and saying, "Get me my job back. I mean, I want to come back. I don't want to be in the NFL." And there was as the story goes, Skip Bertman was very turned off by Nick Saban the last couple of years he was on campus because, really and truly, Saban was stealing a little bit of Skip's shine.
Taking the legacy.
Yeah, he was taking a little bit of the shine away from what Bertman had just accomplished a couple of years before. People were kind of more or less sending emails to Bertman now from an athletic director standpoint, asking him about ticket surcharges and when are you going to extend Nick Saban, rather than saying congratulations and great job on all those championships from the baseball program.
Yeah, the job changed now.
And when you get a guy in there like Les Miles, who's just really happy to be here. I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean,
failing upwards.
Just how that guy. I mean, it was probably because Skip looked around and said, "Who can I
puppeteer?
Who can I make sure doesn't demand more respect than me within my own within my own department." And when those calls were coming in from Saban, I mean, think about anybody around college football. Think about some of the dominant ADs, and not to say that Skip didn't do a great job in being an athletic director, but I mean, think about taking that phone call from Nick Saban, knowing you have Les Miles on the staff, and Saban saying, "I want the job back," and especially if you have somebody like Richard Gill, who's the money's there, the means are we got the money if you need it, saying no to him.
In an alternate universe, I mean, how quickly do you think did Nick Saban want to come back? 1 year? 2 years? Like, when were those phone calls?
I think it was probably about a half a season in when he walked into a team meeting. I mean, Donnie Jones, who had a very good career, started his career in Miami. Nick Saban drafted him to go to Miami. Still tells the story about when Zach Thomas walked in and Saban tried to say something to him in one of Saban's, direct tones and how he talks to college players. And Zach Thomas just stood up and said, "Hey, buddy, this ain't going to end well for you.
Not
you
here.
can't talk to me like that. If we go upstairs and take this discussion, they're keeping me. They're not keeping you."
I'm making 50, you're making 10.
Exactly. And when Saban really realized, I can't control this environment like I can at the college level, I just want to get out of here. I just want to leave. I mean, I heard it at its worst point. He was calling 2-3 times a day back here.
Gorn Lover.
Just saying, "Get me back. Make this happen.
X.
If it's close, what do we need to do? What
I'm
has
all
to
in.
happen?"
I
Right.
can change.
Because those the 2005 and 2006 LSU football roster was the best football roster I had seen until 2011.
And those are all his guys.
And those are all his guys. all of those guys were his dudes.
But would that not be one of the most bizarre stories in college football if that had happened? 1 year in, you hire Les Miles, then you go back and hire Nick Saban again. Like, that had to be one of the most convoluted and messy situations that they even had to kick the tires on. But looking back on it, probably would have been worth the mess.
Without question. and there had to be people. I mean, still remember, Herb Vincent was in the office at that time. Herb was very much a pro Nick Saban guy. And just realizing what he had brought in. I mean,
It made his job easy.
Sure. I mean, the Good Old Boy Network at LSU still exists. I don't know if you'll ever be able to really whitewash it. I don't know if you'll be able to exterminate it completely. But Saban came in there and really shook it up. He was the first guy that was saying, he does what? She does this. He does who? What? No. She's going to the ticket office. He's going to the ticket office. They're not messing with our compliance.
I don't care how many gummy bears are in the snack pack, dude. It's the compliance. Sorry, I'm running the ship.
It's just, I mean, it's one of those stories I think that you could look back on and say have a major what if. I mean, I know that Saban is very much into the politics of the state and how the state is run, and I know that, obviously the Bobby Jindal regime was such a disaster for the state of Louisiana. Who knows how that would have shook out if Saban would have been back in, Mark Emmert saw the writing on the wall and kind of got out of town when he saw all the cuts coming to higher education. So who knows how it would have worked out. But, I mean, we go 90 miles off track to talk about just what the expectations are for this LSU job. And Ed Orgeron inviting those. And he has since the first day that he opened as the head coach. But I think that this is underlying going into the season. This is a huge year for Ed Orgeron and what his future could look like at LSU. Absolutely.
How warm is that seat?
I don't know if it's even warm at all. But I think that the gas and the heat can turn up quick.
Right. I
don't know if it's warm right now, but I think the scenario of it just really being an inferno could happen.
I think
get cremated.
Yes.
The hires. If you're going to say I'm the CEO, I'm the one who has culture, I'm the one who brings in got good football minds, and I let them be these hires. Coordinator's got to be home runs.
Yeah, he does. It has to work out, and he's got to trust these guys, and he's got to allow them to coach because, as Miller points out in the in his write up, and obviously he won't tell his source, but I'm gonna dig at him to see how how much more of that conversation that he learned. But he spoke to obviously an anonymous SEC assistant coach. From a rival school and said there's complete turnover on both the offensive and defensive coaching staff. Complete turnover. That's brutal. Is Ed going to get too involved because Ed knows just enough to be dangerous? I really don't think he knows a lot about offensive football, but he knows enough to be dangerous, and he can get too involved. No doubt, I think he absolutely feels the pressure because you can't be the head coach at LSU and not feel the pressure. He won a national championship, and then he came back and had a rough year. And I think this is an amazingly challenging year for him. Was one of the assistant coaches from the SEC quoting to The Athletic and Brody Miller. And I think that's probably the overall feeling for Orgeron. It gives you a little insight on what the other coaches think about him. But I agree with that. I mean, how involved is O going to be? You think that O had any say-so in Joe Brady's offensive meetings in 2019?
Hell
with
no.
Brody, with Joe Brady and Joe Burrow and Insminger? You think that he had any type of voice in those rooms?
You got the rundown, and they went in the quarterback room.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That's the walk by the office. Hey, how you doing? Y'all keep it up over there.
Everybody good here?
Everybody good?
Anybody need something to drink? No? Everybody good?
Slinger, you
I'll
need a
be down
dip?
the hell yeah, right.
Joey, how's your arm, Joey?
I'll be right down the hall. Just let me know. And
All
you
right.
know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's
I mean,
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Was that not his role when he was brought in to do as, Coach Ed Orgeron, CEO? It was to be able to manage and not meddle, because meddling at LSU, after what just happened with Les Miles and the offense, is the absolute kiss of death. That's the one word you don't want to hear when you're talking about a coach getting involved in an offense of where he really doesn't know enough to control that aspect of the game, but he's so worried about his own job that he feels like he has to.
Yeah.
Question: did O bring in Matt Canada?
He did.
Yes, that was his first. That was his first time he said we're not going to do that again, and then he did it again twice.
Well, yeah, and I understand the Canada situation really from O's standpoint a little bit more than maybe others would, because O at the time needed. That was his selling point. His selling point was Lane Kiffin and Dave Aranda.
Well, he went to the podium with it.
That's what he was selling to Joe Oliva. That's what he was selling to the board of directors. And when Lane Kiffin called and said, I'm going to take the Florida Atlantic job, or when Nick Saban called Jimmy Sexton and said, get Lane a head coaching job because he's not going to be the play caller at LSU.
I'm not ready for them to score 40 a game.
That ain't happening.
Yeah.
So, Jimmy, make the deal. Get the deal done. And next thing you know, he's in Boca Raton living for the next couple of years. And he calls Joe Oliva and says, look, man, I wish I could, but I can't take the job. And Orgeron and Panamsky go into panic mode of who is the top name in the sport? Who is the guy that everybody is after? And it was the Broyles Award winner in Matt Canada, who had just put 60 points up on Clemson. And it was the same scenario that happened to him last year. They didn't talk to him. They didn't talk to him a lot. They didn't talk to him enough to realize that the personalities just weren't going to match up. And that is on Orgeron, but he was still trying to get the job.
Yeah, he would have done anything.
He would have sold his soul. And kind of did. To Canada. And it cost him. It cost him $3 million. It cost LSU $3 million, and it cost him a lot of trust lost between the administration and the fan base. But he got that back with the hire of Joe Brady. And as much as we talk about this thing could fall off the rails and go sideways, in the same breath, this could be an igniter for Ed Orgeron and his tenure at LSU, and really set him in to being locked in and trusted by the fan base, the administration, and set in for the long haul. Because this is one of those seasons that you're either going to have tremendous success or, potentially, one of the storylines could be he names Max Johnson the starting quarterback 2 weeks into fall camp or a week into fall camp, and Miles Brennan decides to leave, and you're 2 snaps away without having a quarterback. Really. 3 weeks ago, we were talking about a 4-man race. In 3 months, we could be talking about, one sophomore and a true freshman. So, there is a lot of, fragile storylines to this thing that it could work out either way. It could go either way, in the sense of great success, or, it could be one of those seasons that you look back on and say that's where it turned for him.
Just got to pull the right string at the right time. That's where you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to talk about with Brody Miller coming up here today on the Jordy Culotta Show. So stick around. Daily, we're brought to you by Edward Jones. Good friend over there, Daniel Newman. Get in touch with Daniel Newman. Daniel.Newman@edwardjones.com. If you've got any questions about your finances, whatever you may be looking for, if you need some questions on your 401k, if you have questions on your 401k, if you have questions on your Social Security, if you have questions on investing, you can get in touch with Daniel Newman. He's over at Edward Jones out in central Louisiana at Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com is where you can find him out in central across from Stabs over there. Go talk some basketball, go talk some football, go talk some sports, but you can get some financial advice and some financial leadership from one of the best in Daniel Newman, a great dude, a good friend who's helped us out since we rolled over the 401k to him, and it's been very easy to work with him. Daniel.Newman at edwardjones.com. Speaking of basketball, a couple of more Baylor Bears. Lady Bears are entering the transfer portal.
I'll take them.
We will see if they end up in the purple and gold. Baylor spokesman confirmed on Tuesday that Trinity Oliver and Moon Urson, which is just a phenomenal name.
Moon.
Check this. I think Moon might be a Louisiana native. I know Moon Griffon is. But Moon Urson.
Yep, she's from Destrehan.
Yep. I thought she was a Louisiana native. So a Louisiana native former Baylor Bear and Moon Urson is entered the transfer portal along with Trinity Oliver. Both have spent 4 years at Baylor playing for Kim Mulkey. Last season, Urson led the Lady Bears in minutes played and finished third in scoring. Oliver saw more action last season, appearing in all 31 games, averaged 4 points and 3 boards. If they do indeed transfer out, they will be the 4th and 5th players to leave the Bears this offseason. So we'll see what the future looks like for those two former Kim Mulkey players in Moon Urson and Trinity Oliver. Also on ESPN yesterday, I don't know if anybody saw this, but ESPN is giving Willie Wade and LSU basketball a little run and praising them for what they've done here during this recruiting season. They've reset the recruiting rankings after the transfer portal hits, and LSU is getting a little bit of respect, getting some things, getting some nice things said about them from ESPN. But when you look around, and they've got LSU at 8. Previously, they had LSU at 22, so an enormous jump.
Oh wow!
For
They just
Wade
did
and
their
the
rankings.
Tigers. Yeah, they redid the rankings after the recruiting portal, or after the transfer portal, and after signing day has come and gone here, and a lot of the big names have made their decision. A couple of the usual suspects up there at the top, with Duke and Kentucky finding their way within the top 5. Kansas comes in at 6. Tennessee, another SEC team to look out for, is Rick Barnes here has put together back-to-back really respectable recruiting classes in Knoxville on the basketball floor. Kennedy Chandler is one of the top point guards within this recruiting cycle. He chose Tennessee over Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, and the hometown team in Memphis as he decided to travel up to Knoxville to play for Rick Barnes. They've got Tennessee within the top 4. Michigan's number 1. Juwan Howard, man. This guy has built a incredible program in just in a short time, both on the court and on the recruiting lines here as Michigan has the number 1 class in America. How about Gonzaga? Signed the most 5-stars in this recruiting cycle. How the world turns, right? How times have changed in college basketball when you talk about how Gonzaga used to beat you compared to how they're beating you now. I mean, they're beating you with premier players. They're meeting you with lottery picks.
Mm-hmm.
The point guard this year is projected to possibly be the number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, he's going top 3.
So
I mean, like you said, how the world turns. Once Coach K made that decision to start getting 5-stars, it seemed like everybody was like, we can't win with 4-year players, dude. And now with the transfer portal, the day of the 4-year, sit around, wait, junior, senior year, you explode onto the scene is no longer a thing. Like, it's going to be, get me 1 guy, get me 3 guys who are going to play 1 year, and let's run this thing out, roll the ball out.
They have Nova on that list. I think Nova's going to be really good.
Well, they've got LSU at 8, as we said, and it's all talking about obviously closing on Efton Reid. Alex Fudge is getting a lot of respect from the college basketball writers. Great name. Let's see here. I'm scrolling down. I'm at 17, and I've still yet to see Villanova. 2023.
25.
How? They're bringing back their whole team.
This is recruiting rankings.
Recruiting.
This is not preseason rankings.
Yeah.
These are recruiting rankings.
I mean, there's 4 SEC teams in the top 10.
Yeah, the SEC dominated. I mean, the SEC has been. I mean, can't we argue that they've probably been the biggest winner of the transfer portal?
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, if you think about some of the transfers that have transferred into this conference and stuck in this conference, Severe Wheeler made his announcement last week. He's going to Kentucky. I mean, not only is he staying in the SEC East. I mean, it's. But the SEC, there were 22 5-star prospects in the final ESPN 100, and 20 of them are going into the SEC.
Oh my God!
Of those 20, of those 27 are headed to the SEC. No other league landed more than 3 5-star prospects. 4 of the top 8 recruiting classes in the country are in the Southeastern Conference. I mean, the amount of competitive basketball, the basketball, and how much it's improved.
What do you think the cause to that effect is?
SEC network, money, resources, recruiting. facilities.
Blue Blood's got to be shaking in their boots, dude.
Well, I mean, it's look Kentucky. The gap has been closed in Kentucky as far as basketball goes. I mean, you look at the dominant teams and programs in the Big Three, and really outside of Alabama, which the ground has been made up on Alabama. They're still the king of the hill. Obviously, they're the national champ, but I mean, they're still year in, year out, consistently the best program, top to bottom, in the league. But when you look at the gap between Kentucky, who has that reputation and cachet on the basketball floor, the competition is much closer to Kentucky than they are Alabama from a football standpoint. I think that line and that ground has been made up significantly, and I think it goes into you look at the coaches in the league. I mean, look at the coaches in the SEC. Just from a basketball standpoint. I mean, when you start talking about Buzz, start talking about Musselman, you start talking about Will, Nate Oates,
in Georgia,
right? Who get really no respect.
Right.
None.
I mean, they really don't. I mean, big guy up in South Carolina, Frank
Martin.
Frank Martin. I mean,
He was just in the Final Four.
almost a forgotten character. I mean, one of the top coaches in college basketball. I mean, for the time that he's been there, he's had a really good run. I mean, all these guys, Calipari, obviously, in the league. But, I mean, the coaching, the resources, the recruiting, the facilities, all have seen significant upgrades since the addition of the SEC network, which has, spread the wealth throughout the conference. And I think, that has been the obvious identifier from standing out. I mean, when you bring these guys on campus and you can show them these facilities and show them these on in program perks. I mean, some of the things that Will thinks about in recruiting and takes care of for these guys, it really is run like an NBA program. I mean, now that they have the access to the nutrition standpoint, but I mean, from everything from the sports psychiatrist stuff to the physical therapy that they are open to and have access to the nutrition standpoint, to the tutors, the facilities. That's why there's such a big push to make sure that they keep up from a competitive standpoint, because it absolutely is an arms race. I mean, when these guys leave and they go to the University of Florida, or they go to the University of Kentucky, or they go to the University of Tennessee, or Alabama, I mean, they're walking into facilities where they have an all-in-one facility for, basketball, weightlifting, basketball on the floor, video, physical therapy. You don't have to leave the spot. You don't have to leave the roof. You don't have to leave the door. All of that stuff is, under one roof. LSU doesn't have that luxury right now.
Where's the physical therapy stuff? Is it in the PMAC, or do they have to go to Tiger Stadium?
No, it's going to be that would be the those little whirlpools up to Tiger Stadium that come out right there by the locker room. I'm telling you, you have to walk across the street. And I know that this is, I mean, these sound like rich people problems, right? I mean, these sound like some America problems. But this is what it is when you're trying to compete in the SEC, when you're talking about going up against these guys, going up against these programs that are showcasing this stuff, and then you come to Baton Rouge and the guy says, the prospect says, well, where's the weight room? Well, you got to walk across the street. Well, what happens on a day like today when it's raining?
We give you a scooter. You got a nice scooter.
You got to walk across the street. Well, we don't have to do that in Knoxville. I know.
Don't have to do that at VCU.
Yeah. I mean, it's just.
That facility is unreal.
That stuff is real. I mean, that stuff, sometimes it comes down to that stuff. It's always a relationship game. But sometimes decisions are made by an 18-year-old because they can get into the whirlpool under the basketball facility rather than getting into the whirlpool across the street. I mean, sometimes it's just like that. And Kim Mulkey and Will Wade understand that. So we'll see where I know this. I know that facilities for the basketball program have been expedited up the agenda. They have been moved up the agenda. And will get the attention and are starting to get the finances in line to make that real, because I think that first off, it was something that was probably negotiated and discussed within Kim Mulkey's contract, but now you've got both Mulkey and Wade pulling the rope towards the direction that this has to happen.
Getting outnumbered.
I mean, just yeah, right. I mean, just it has to happen.
I could push one of you away, but both of you coming at me, you're gonna have to kowtow to this thing.
So second hour, we are going to talk LSU football with Brody Miller. We have also confirmed that Chris Reid will stop by here and talk a little about this LSU baseball series that gets going this afternoon in College Station, and how much pressure is on Maneri and the crew to get 2 out of 3 this weekend, or just see if they can't take the series because they need it. They need it because of their postseason life to keep that alive. So we'll reset, come back. Still lots to talk about. Doctors clear Burrow up in Cincinnati. He'll be ready to go week 1. Nobody's surprised on that, right? Day 1 of the PGA Championship starts today in South Carolina. That snuck up on us. Who knew that? We kind of looked up yesterday. That's happening. Steph versus LeBron last night. What a classic. In fact, we'll talk about that next and close that hour 1 when we come back here on the Jordy Culotta Show. 10 minutes from now, we'll talk some LSU football with Brody Miller as he'll stop in here. Johnson and Spillers brings you the Jordy Culotta Show every day. Big day for the dentist, getting the implant, the front tooth today. Be knocked out about 2 o'clock this afternoon, boys. So looking forward to getting over there with Dr. Chad Spillers. He made the referral of where I need to go at 2:15, but I'll be in his office getting the tooth fixed up to make sure I don't look like a dumbass here tomorrow morning.
So tooth pulled, new tooth in?
New tooth in. Tooth pulled, just extracting the entire tooth, bro.
Getting knocked out?
Can we get it in a jar here?
Yeah, I'm getting knocked out. Are you kidding
I guess
me?
you could keep your tooth, too.
Let's put it in a jar.
Put it in a little jar.
for sure.
Little mason jar.
Are they going to color match? I would imagine that you have to go down the scale,
I
see
hope
where you
so.
are. Or you could be like, why don't we color the rest of these bad boys up? Let's go all white.
That's the play.
Yeah.
That's the play. I mean, I'm
No,
looking for some booger.
Yeah, I want some chiclets.
The Booger McFarland, the transformation of his teeth from Monday Night Football to where he was even breaking down SEC football a couple of years ago is one of the great development stories on television.
What's his secret?
It's got to be veneers.
Veneers, very expensive.
Gotta
But
be.
I mean,
Gotta
it's got to
be
be jarring
veneers.
too for like if your wife at home and you come home and you're like, look,
Yeah.
you're like, oh God, whoa, what? Dude, this is not the man that I married.
Yes. I mean, the teeth changed the whole thing.
Teeth is a big
Teeth
deal.
changed the whole thing,
I mean,
man.
you go back to school whenever
mean-
when a girl got her braces off, you're
Yes.
like, who are you
Absolutely.
again?
You know, you did have really good
Yeah,
personality.
yeah, actually, I do enjoy. What did we have?
Right.
4th period together.
Or a smile could take a 9 to a 4.
It can.
You know what I mean?
That's a dangerous game. Whenever
Welcome to
there's all.
Alabama, baby.
Right. Johnson Spillers online, johnsonspillers.com. We'll come back, talk a little bit about the NBA last night as these playoff games looking like they were swinging and missing until they went over to Staples Center last night and had an instant classic between 2 of the league's best. Steph Curry and LeBron James go 4 rounds in Staples Center last night. LeBron gets the last punch. We'll tell you about it next here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
A shame you didn't get to see it.
Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy at jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy at jordyculotta.com to learn. 485-8022 is where you can find Hebert's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Hebert over at Hebert's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022, 225-485-8022 is where you can find Hebert's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Welcome back in here to a Thursday edition here on this soggy Thursday morning in South Louisiana.
Is it raining out there?
It's starting to rain a little bit. Got the early call on the flag football game being canceled yesterday. Ended up being sunshine all day.
Was that just the same news again?
What?
Just now?
No. The makeup game's supposed to be tomorrow. On Friday. What's the weather report look like tomorrow? Supposed to rain again?
I don't know. Well, we asked Steve.
Let's see here.
What does he know?
Dr. Caparato.
Oh, top swing and a miss.
I mean,
We really gassed him up for nothing.
We did, man. I mean, we got him juiced.
I gotta tell him something. It's raining cats and dogs.
Super Bowl Wednesday for us up here at the Meteorologist Center.
UV index like 10, not a cloud in the sky.
Worked on my base tan yesterday, bro.
He probably pulled out a special tie, like I'm gonna be on the news all day, get my good outfit, get my draft day fit. Nope, not
Everybody
a call.
watching today, boys and girls.
He was Aaron Rodgers on draft day.
So Brody Miller coming up in a couple of minutes. Did you watch Steph and LeBron last night?
I watched the whole
thing.
Had to.
Golly, man, I just couldn't make it. Me and little Jay got into bed. I said, bro, I'll let you sleep in the bed tonight. We'll watch the game. I mean, after I saw Steph hit one little floater in the lane, next thing you know, I think
It's over. It's a wrap.
Everybody just snoring in the bed, man. I woke up about 3:30 a.m. and caught the highlights as LeBron and Steph. I mean, LeBron and his acting. First and foremost, like, I'm not here to hate on that. That was an excellent performance by LeBron last night. That three-pointer at the end was a dagger. That sets up a series now with the Suns and the Lakers. So the defending champs will be taking on Chris Paul and the Suns. Chris Paul can't buy a break.
No.
This will be Chris Paul's biggest. This would be his biggest playoff win if he can get past the Lakers. But the LeBron rolling around on the floor after the eye, after the poke in the eye, it's just, I mean, bro, you're 6'8", 250. 50.
The fact that they wanted
Hey, your eyeball's not, dude. Come on, that's a sensitive part of the body, sensitive orifice.
they wanted to call that a flagrant. I'm like, the season's on the line. There's a minute left.
right.
Like, come on.
And that would have been Draymond's second.
And he would've
Yeah,
out,
he'd have been
yeah.
out. But, I mean, also Draymond is just something else to me. Like, this guy, it's unbelievable the amount of shit he talks and how little he does on the offensive end. I get the defensive thing because it's impossible to ignore. But him running his mouth the entire game, if I was on his team, I'd be like, bro, we're fighting for our lives
Right,
over here. You're
right.
talking shit, like, about something that doesn't even matter. Like, quit poking the bear,
he's a dog.
especially with LeBron. Like, we aren't even guarding him. Like, what are we doing? You're not helping on one end, and you're running your mouth on the other, getting technicals and poking people in the eye. That's old hat for Draymond.
That was, I mean, looking back on just the high, that was a playoff atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Sadly, only 6,000 people.
with all of bring the rain in, why don't you?
How's the monsoon?
Yes.
What is the NBA? Are they not going full capacity ever? Do we know?
No. So it's up to the city. The Jazz
Yeah,
have 14,000. Like, the Jazz are almost like full capacity.
Oh, let's go, dude.
So
Yeah.
the winner of Memphis and
Golden State.
Golden State
Go
plays-
full
plays
throw.
Utah.
are going to get to Utah.
Gonna go to a full
Dude,
arena, pretty much.
Do you know how awesome that's going to be? Because I saw the Carolina Panthers, and I don't even
The
watch
Hurricanes,
hockey. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Carolina
And it was
Hurricanes.
rocking.
It was like something I'd never seen before because it's been 2 years
Yeah.
since I saw a full stadium. It was like, what the hell's going on down there? Hockey.
Yeah, you see old highlights like or even now, like the Braves game. I'm like, is this okay?
Right. I mean, I'm over that part of it. I don't. Yeah. Go get sick. Who cares? Let's move this thing forward. But because now you're teasing me with these full stadiums, dude.
know, man.
And dude, to see a full, like, especially the Jazz, who have
They're
Rockets
lunatics.
fans.
they're
Oh, yeah.
lunatics. I mean,
Crazy.
Russell Westbrook can't walk in
Crazy.
that city without
They're
poking
crazy.
somebody.
Those Mormons, man.
They're all pent up. No sugar, no drugs, no food, no
Yeah.
water. I mean, that's all you have. God.
Everything's salt in the water.
Yes,
Pissed.
they're just you got 3 wives at home. Like, I'm trying to go to the game and relax.
I hate you.
All I see is men everywhere.
Yes. It's,
How about Andrew Wiggins last night?
played out of his mind?
That was
Played out of his-
unreal. I don't
That
know.
was that was the LeBron motivation factor.
Stepped
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, he did.
Poor Kevin Love getting lost in all of that. Just got sent to the wasteland that's Cleveland.
Ugh.
Like,
Still there, man.
Stuck
I know that's what I'm saying.
Stuck
Like,
there.
got the title. Like, I don't know if he was ever in LeBron's circle. It didn't seem like it. He was kind of like the fringe
No.
guy that was,
No.
around, didn't get to be in all the pictures.
No, that was LeBron's Matt Canada.
Yes.
I mean, that really was.
Except I need him to win.
It worked out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a lifeline. It was a Hail Mary. It was somebody. He needed somebody at that time that could play alongside. Did David Griffin get that deal done?
Yes.
He did.
I'm telling you, Griff has the moves. I don't know what. He's a big swing and a miss there for our last offseason. Just the
has
money
been.
that got spread around to Steven Adams, and it's just very odd of what
Well,
they're trying to do.
The moves don't make any sense.
Right.
You have Zion. You need people that can shoot and play defense.
Well, I think they figured out that I think Zion is different than what they anticipated he was
Right.
going to be last
Right.
year at this time when they were trying to put the people around him. He turned out to be a different player. I mean, he's ultimately Magic Johnson. You know what I
Just
mean?
goes in the
He
paint.
was a guy who was
Right.
a 6'9", 6'7" guy that you were like, where's he? He might be the best point guard we got. You know, I mean, from the Pelicans standpoint, if you're looking at him, just let him run the point. And so now you've got to build a different structure around him.
Kind of like LeBron. Like you just put somebody in the
Yeah.
corner, he'll drive and kick.
Exactly. That's why David Griffin, it seems like, is the perfect fit to make
That's
this
what I
happen.
thought
right.
too. But I guess the Steven Adams moves make sense now if that's what Zion's going to do, because when you got him, it seems like
Just
the
need a
lane's going to
veteran.
be
Yeah.
pretty clogged.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like what Steven Adams has done. He's been a good player in the NBA, but now we need scoring.
Hey, we're not
Because
talking
Bi's
about
not that good of a three-point shooter, really. He's got kind of a DeMar DeRozan-esque
Pull-up.
game, like
Yeah.
pull up, shoot twos, and then Lonzo is erratic from 3. Like, that seems to be getting better.
Hey, shot
But-
38 from 3 this
Yeah,
year.
yeah. So I mean, I trust that trajectory, but and if Zion wants him back, he's
Yes.
coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, you just don't
Agreed.
burn those bridges.
Well, I mean, especially after the comments at Madison Square Garden. I mean,
Whatever he wants.
yeah, exactly.
It's the meme of the guy and the girl walking by the other girl,
Yeah.
and Zion's
Yeah.
looking back
Looking
at
back at her.
the Mecca,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we're holding on to his arm, going, please stay.
All right, let's link up here with Brody Miller from The Athletic. We were talking to Jeff Duncan yesterday and telling you about the advantage of The Athletic and a subscription there. And Miller has great write-ups both on TJ Finley, the latest, and the state of the program. is the latest write-up. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
No.
Buddy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you, man. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Last time we talked to you, we were holding you up from starting your day at the Zurich Classic. How good of a day did that turn out to be for you?
Oh, dude, that was a heaven week. I mean, that whole week was perfection. I mean, shoot, I only had to write 2 stories in 4 days, so I just get to walk around and watch golf all day. My life is pretty easy.
Yes, we could hear it in your voice that we were keeping 2 questions too long.
Where's that mimosa train?
Oh, no.
That's right. Like it was great information, but we could feel the sunshine and the course pulling him in. Great write-ups over at The Athletic. The state of the program we've been talking about, it really has dominated the first hour here, and just kind of talking about some of what you were able to find there. And let us urge you again, if you have not already, to get your Athletic subscription. We talked to Jeff Duncan yesterday about the Saints, and he was fantastic. And Miller, Brody has the same deal in talking about LSU. A fantastic insider, and would be worth the subscription over The Athletic. Your first question to Orgeron is really what dominated the discussion of the hour, and I think by his remarks and by his smirk. He has been asked it before. What do you think the pressure is on the head coach for LSU going into the season after they have experienced such a roller coaster of success and pitfalls?
Yeah, I think I'm always skeptical to use a word like hot seat, because I don't think Ed Orgeron's on the hot seat or anything like that necessarily, but there is a definite pressure on Ed Orgeron, right? The idea that you go 5-5, then you add in the, I don't know, for lack of a better term, cultural issues throughout the team last year. And then you add in, not that he's directly actually been, like, implemented anything, but then you add in, like, the sexual assault scandal going on, and everything's just kind of a mess right now. And I think it just kind of adds to a certain pressure on the program as a whole. I don't even want to hone in on Ed Orgeron, but, and just how messy those hires were. Everything about it, it wasn't just they went 5-5. It was a disastrous 5-5 in a lot of ways, and I think that leads to and then I think something T-Bob and I were talking about is just, it's not even just that there's pressure, it's that they have so much talent this year, right? And I firmly believe this is one of the more talented teams in the SEC, that if they don't win this year, if they go 7-5 or something this year, that means there are even more failures. You know what I mean? That means those hires must have kind of bombed. So I'm not saying hot seat, but if things go bad, I do think Ed Orgeron could be in trouble.
Yeah. Brody Miller joining us here on The Athletic. The state of the program is up over there. It is worth the read and gives you a real understanding of how good this roster is, Brody, because we were talking about it earlier this week, and I think it was almost easy for people in our business in the immediate offseason to talk about what the hell's going on at LSU, and LSU's in some serious trouble, and LSU, Ed Orgeron might be on the hot seat, and 5-5, what could be next? And then you start looking at the roster, and then you start talking to people who understand recruiting, and you say, look, man, they have a championship-level roster. From your eyes, how good, how competitive is this roster going into the summer and anticipated next fall?
I think what makes this roster kind of look good is, one, just, you talk about recruiting, right? And they have 3 straight top 5 classes. The freshman, sophomore, and junior classes are all, and that's as good of a 3-year run as in recent memory at LSU. And then probably even more importantly than that, those base is really talented, right? Your core. But then I think the biggest victory, obviously, was bringing back all of those draft-eligible juniors and seniors. Your Andre Anthony's, your Ollie Gays, your Glenn Logan's. I mean, the list goes on and on. So what that really did is the disaster of 2020, I mean, at its core was you lose so much talent, but more than losing your talent, you lost your infrastructure, you lost your leadership, you lost the guys who know how to do it the right way. It was just all of a sudden 2020 was left with a team that probably wasn't well equipped to handle a pandemic and all that. You know what I mean? And I think what happens now is you have a really, really, really talented freshman and sophomore class right now, mixed with a really healthy portion of seniors right now who have been through it, who are embarrassed about last year and all of that. So now you have the chip on your shoulder nature that you need. So I think it's just that good hybrid of experience with upside and ability, and I think that's the key. But obviously, on the other hand, it's just talent. I mean, you have a lot of guys who are high draft pick caliber guys. And I think there were some question mark position groups say in February, there's still some questions, but there's no real glaring hole anymore. I think it's a pretty well-built roster.
How do you feel about the quarterback situation given the what has happened over the last couple of weeks to that room?
Yeah, because I think, we all eventually expected TJ Finley to leave, right? So to some extent, that's not changing much, but it just does lead to that small glimmer of this could go wrong soon because, and to be clear, they're in a very good situation. They have a good problem to have. You have two quarterbacks who would start for a lot of SEC teams right now, Brennan and Johnson. But say it's Brennan, is Johnson going to sit and stay? Say it's Johnson, I do not expect Miles Brennan to sit and stay. And all of a sudden, and to be clear, I think Nussmeier's awesome, but you have one quarterback and a true freshman as your backup, and that's kind of the problem they've been trying to avoid the whole time. But I'm sure you're also asking about, who I think has a leg and up, and I do just kind of think Max Johnson, just the buzz that goes around is that it's Max Johnson. And one really interesting thing from, one piece we added to the state of the program this year was we did a what other coaches in the SEC are saying thing.
Yes.
And, anonymously. And we had two different SEC coaches end up saying this. We only quoted one of them, but two different people were like, Max Johnson's our staff thinks Max Johnson's better. We're more scared of Max Johnson, and I don't know what to make of that. You never know. You want to take that with a grain of salt, but that's just interesting to me.
Yeah. Did you learn anything in your discussion with Finley? It was a great write-up and in-depth discussion with him on his time at LSU. Did you take away anything from that conversation?
Well, good question. I think the thing I always go back to with Finley is just that it's obviously a sad story that a guy, pocket tool comes for a year and has to leave and all that, but he's also a pretty big success story in a lot of ways because he was the lowest rated member of that class, a 3-star, who, I think everyone you talked to probably thought he would never see the field. And then he ends up showing a lot of upside, wins 2 games, looks pretty good in those 2 games. And now, even though he's leaving and that's a bummer for him and all that, he's leaving in a position now of his stock has risen drastically in the past 12 months, right? Where now, I'm not sure, we'll see what happens where he ends up, but he's listing pretty big schools pursuing him that weren't pursuing him, going into college. And now teams are talking to him about how much upside he has. So I think that's my big takeaway. But yeah, I think the other thing is just, I don't know where he's going to go, but the fact that he's listing Alabama, Auburn, Houston, Penn State, Ohio State. I don't know who's actually going to happen, but just that kind of shows you, I guess, the interest in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said he wanted to, one of the biggest talking points that he had when he was getting, I guess, re-recruited was that he wanted to play right away. So why would he even list schools like Alabama, Ohio State, some of these places that have quarterbacks in place?
Yeah, no, I think we all had that same thought. It's one of those things where recruiting is an awkward world because, you have that thought, and you don't want to tell, no one wants to insinuate to a 19-year-old that, hey, Bryce Young's really good, but at the same time, I think we all had that thought in our back of our mind. I don't know. I don't have any intel on really their quarterback rooms. He said that Auburn, for example, told him that he could push Bo Nix for the job. Who knows? But, I think all I'll say is I think we were all thinking that a little bit.
What do you think Major Burns does for the secondary, and what's he do for the roster?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where at least me personally, I don't expect him to, play this even if the eligibility and all that works out. I could be really wrong on this. I'm wrong quite often, but I don't expect him to come in and be a guy right away. He's basically a redshirt freshman that can kind of ease in a little bit. But I think what he does is he kind of, I think Shea Dixon pointed out it very well yesterday or 2 days ago. He just officially, cements a success in how much LSU addressed that safety room in the past 2 seasons, where that was a problem going into 2020, just the overall depth there and all that. And then now you all of a sudden are at a point where Jay Ward breaks out, obviously. So now you feel really good about at least this year, or pretty good, I should say. And now you had Jordan Tolles, Paige Ryan, and Derek Davis, who were 2 at the top of the entire country, Matthew Langlois, and now Major Burns, and all of a sudden you have 5, correct me if I'm wrong, 5 guys with 4 years of eligibility. So that room, and also 5 guys that they think really highly of, and that's not always the case. So I just think it's bolstered more than anything. I don't know if I expect an instant impact out of Major Burns, but it just proves that room is really deep now.
And we recently had Corey Connor on to switch to running back a little bit, and the guy from Ohio made some waves with how he was represented here. And there's some whispers of him pushing for early playing time. I say that to get to this. What's the rumors with Trey Bradford kind of entering into the transfer portal? There's smoke. Is there any fire?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all heard the same things, and my only, brief experience is that when you hear that a guy is going to transfer pretty, like we all hear it, and then 2 weeks later it still doesn't happen, that tends to be a decent sign. I think Eli Ricks is the ultimate example there, but there are many others of those that come to mind that you hear it and then it doesn't happen. That usually means something good. But, I mean, it's a tough situation because I think I've been on your show twice being like, yeah, I'm high on Trey Bradford. Maybe that's just me trying to, get the buy low stock there. But still, I was high on him, but you can't blame him if he does because he missed a lot of the spring with injury. And then, it's a crowded room, and I think the room's still open for grabs. I think someone can still take it, but it's 6 deep. I mean, that's tough. And then you add in missing the spring. It's a situation where I'm never going to begrudge a kid for seeing that and being like, all right, I'll go start at, I don't know, a really good group of 5 schools.
Do you see anybody kind of taking the reins in that running back room, or is it going to be very much almost by situation?
Yeah, I think if you go through the state of the program, if there's one position you can tell that I'm like, I don't know, man, it's probably running back. But I do think Ty Davis Price, absolutely going into the summer has the head start. He ended the spring on a really strong note and all that. I think it's safe to say he has he's in the driver's seat a little bit, but it just still to me feels so unknown because, you had the Trey Bradfords, but I think they're hoping to see one of those freshmen, I'm not even going to say start, but they would love to see Corey Kiner, I think, really add something new to that room and play right away. They would love John Emery to put it all together, and I think every LSU fan would. So, if I'm, putting money down, I mean, I take Davis Price at minus 110 odds or something, but I don't know if I feel confident at all, which is a terrible answer.
Window is open. Brody Miller from The Athletic joining us here, dropping some knowledge on LSU football going into the offseason. You brought up Ricks, and Stingley was just awarded 7. And it seems like he's starting to really kind of embrace that going into next year, which will, obviously probably be his final year of college football. What is your anticipation around those two cornerbacks and how good they could be?
It's not even remotely a stretch to say that it's the best cornerback duo, at least going into the season in the country by a good margin. I mean, I can't even think of any precedents in recent memory that I can think of that, a team has 2 All-Americans coming back at outside corner. Obviously, we all know, Pro Football Focus ranked them the 1 and 3 defensive backs total returning in the country. I mean, it's a pretty scary duo. And even last year, by the way, I know the defense was a mess, but obviously Ricks had the great year, but he was a freshman. Stingley was banged up. Even with the defensive mess, if you look at the advanced stats and all that, the outside was still locked down. The outside was still, I don't have the QB rating on me, but it was still, completion percentage were in the 40s, The outside was fine, and now Stingley, you would assume, is back to full health. Ricks growing with another year, which, can never be understated. I think there's a lot of reasons to think that that duo is the best in the country. And the main thing that I think that does is it just gives a huge safety blanket to Durante Jones in this defense. Yeah. The idea that, the defensive line and cornerback are 2 areas that are just kind of secure. And now, maybe safety and linebacker still need to be figured out, but having those things, you can scheme around those things because you have them set.
You mentioned it, and last one, I'll get you out of here. Appreciate your time. Brody Miller joining us here on this Thursday morning talking LSU football. He's over at The Athletic. Remember to get your subscription to The Athletic where you can read more of what Brody has going on. He's got an exclusive sit-down with TJ Finley, which is fantastic, and he's also got this state of the program, which we focused on a lot during the first hour and diving into the depth with him now here during this segment. You brought up what the others are saying about LSU, and I thought it was a fantastic quote in what you were able to get from a rival assistant coach in the conference saying that Ed Orgeron, how much will he be involved because Ed knows just enough to be dangerous, was the quote. Do you think that he learned what that danger level could be next year, and what do you anticipate the position of Ed Orgeron going into this season after experiencing so much success with guys that he trusted in 19 to maybe putting his thumb a little too far into the plan last season from the head coaching spot?
Yeah, I actually got to answer this because I think to some extent, and you can agree with this, it's one of those quotes you have to put in there.
Yeah, it's so good.
Great quote.
It's so good.
But it's still it's kind of a cheap line, right? Because it's Ed's always going to be, that's always going to be one of his huge disses because of the Canada disaster and all that. And it's always going to be a thing. And you're right. There were those same problems last year a little bit, so you can't ignore them. But it's still probably 10% overblown, right? It's still a little bit more than a thing. It is like he is the head coach, guys. It's not. But I do get the criticism and all that. But it is worth watching because Orgeron has said vocally multiple times, at least defensively, he is going to be more involved this year. He is not going to let mistakes. He's not going to let the defense run something they don't know how to run. That's been his kind of repeated phrase. Now, granted, that's something I don't think anyone's going to criticize you getting involved in. So, yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. But I know it's another not Brody, not answer, so I'm the worst at that. But, yeah, I think, is it a thing? Of course. It's always going to be part of Ed's track record. But I don't really think that's like a fundamental flaw for him anymore.
I agree. Great write-up on the state of the program. Thank you for dropping some insight with us this morning. We look forward to having you on again. Thank you, Brody.
Thanks for the salesmanship. I appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
You got it, man. See you. Brody Miller checking in from The Athletic this morning, talking in on the state of the program. We didn't talk offensive line, which I guess we'll feature that next time because you know what? I wish I would have asked him in looking back on it, one name out of that offensive line group to watch going into the season because there has to be somebody establish and jump ahead from that position group.
At Ingram?
Well, I think he's
there.
Are you saying somebody else?
Give me somebody to watch. Give me somebody that could step in and really make an impact. Give me a Marlon Martinez. Give me a Doomerville. Give me a Bradford, Anthony Bradford. Give me a Chasen Hines. Give me a Cam Wire. Give me somebody who is going to give LSU some sense of confidence, of depth at the offensive line spot because it's just literally impossible to go on a run at this level of college football and not experience it just a touch of adversity on that position group. I mean, think about the impact that Adrian McGee had on the championship season 2 years ago. I mean, he was a sixth swingman offensive lineman for that group. Think about what he stepped into some spots and played that Alabama game, the Clemson game. I mean, just played enormous over his skis in a lot of certain points, but had to have him. I mean, even T-Bob Hebert in 2011 during that championship run, a guy that started at center in both guard spots. I mean, sixth guy. I mean, you have to have some depth at the offensive line spot, and you're still yet to hear that dude. Who is it? Is it Xavier Hill? I've heard a lot about Xavier Hill, that he is durable and skilled enough to play almost all five spots. Can play inside, outside, almost like an Ethan Posick type talent. Does he step forward this year and get on the field? Because to me, that's the point of weariness for my opinion on LSU football going into the year. I think all over the field they are loaded.
Wide receiver, too.
Wide receiver, they got pros.
Figure it out.
Running back, they'll figure it out. I trust Ty Davis-Price and John Emery enough that if you got to make a play and you got to have them in a spot, they'll be all right.
John Emery is so curious to me. I mean, he's got all of the skills that you would want.
He's like a Corvette that doesn't run every time you get
right,
it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a sports car. It's like, I got to take this thing to the shop again.
I mean, it just looks so good, and then sometimes you see it opened up, and you're like, there it is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
One Saturday night.
That's it. And then sometimes when you think it's a big spot and you're going to show up and show off, it's not available.
The valet doesn't even come to your car.
That's right. Like, what do you mean, man? 4's great, right?
Yeah,
and
feed 4.
It's a curious case for sure. But I think that they'll be okay at running back.
If he was the only guy we had, then I think that would be the write-up on the state of the program.
Look, you talk to people around the program and even people in recruiting, watch out for the Armani Goodwin kid from Alabama. There is a lot
from
of
Auburn,
people,
right?
yes.
Armani Goodwin's a very Auburn name.
Kevin Falk, it's a great name, too.
Oh, yes.
But Kevin Falk did a bang-up job recruiting him, and from a lot of expectation from a lot of people that you talk to. Corey Connor's obviously another name, but out of the two that they signed, Goodwin seems to come in and be more ready to play. I think that instantly he could be on the field a little quicker than the rest of it. And then Trey Bradford, I think, Bradford is a curious case because, when you go when you have some injuries around a college football program, you're rehabbing when guys aren't we're at practice. You're in the building when necessarily guys aren't around, and you're almost forgotten about. I mean, to a degree.
Oh, it can happen easily. You fall into the shuffle, and you're kind of gone.
Just kind of lost. I think that, like Brody said, with the rumors that were swirling around Bradford going into the portal and looking at other options, the fact that it's about 2.5 weeks past those rumors and people talking about that, and he's not in the portal, I think says a lot. I mean,
portal's the ultimate trump card. But, okay, I'll listen to you now.
Exactly. I mean, there's probably hurt feelings. There's probably some some things that want to be
Recruiting
understood.
Promises.
Yeah, and those things can be discussed. And I think Bradford. I don't know Bradford and his situation, but it seems like he'll be around. It doesn't seem like he's leaving. I think if he would have, he'd be there. So I think everywhere else, I mean, they got the top 2 corners in the country. Safety, I think Jay Ward's going to be fine at safety. I think he's too good of a football player. Once you give him a permanent role, he's not going to want to leave the field. And I think he's good enough to play there. And if he's not, I think Sage Ryan can play.
You see Jordan Tolles?
Jordan Tolles, maybe. That's another curious case.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Tolles, to me, coming out during recruiting, I thought was going to be a superstar. And if you watch his basketball highlights alone, you're just like, Jesus, get this guy on the field. But he just not being able to grasp it yet. I mean, it's still
teaching a horse how to run.
Yeah, it's just once it works out, maybe so. But the point is, they figured it out at linebacker. Bug Strong is going to play. He's going to, the top JUCO linebacker who they stole from Mississippi State on signing day is going to play. Mike Jones is going to play.
Nope.
I mean, they've got guys that are going to play at that spot. The rush defensive ends could potentially be 2 of the best in the league. When you talk about Ojulari and Gay, the defensive line is as deep and as good as it's been since Orgeron has been here. I think that will be maybe the shining piece of the entire team. But offensive line, I've got questions. I love Ed Ingram. I think Ed Ingram's a pro. Outside of that, I don't know if there's a pro around. I don't know if you've got an NFL guy around. And if you're asking one pro to block guys that are on Texas A&M's defensive line or Alabama's defensive line or Florida's defensive line that are going to put 3, maybe 4 of those guys into the league, well, then you're outmanned. And if you can't block, it doesn't matter who you have back there. Joe Burrow, 2018. They couldn't block him. He got murdered. It doesn't matter who you're trying to hand the ball to. Leonard Fournette, 2015. Give it to him 30 times, 7 yards. Can't block him. I mean, the offensive line has to have a player or somebody within that starting 5, whether it's Shanahan that really grasps and understands how to play center at the SEC level. Because, I mean, he was, first off, think about if you didn't get him, where you would have been last year. I mean, that's good Lord. I mean, who? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
What if he goes down? Who's center?
I still don't know. I don't know. That's the issue. That's the problem.
Cam Wire is your plug-and-play guy. Imagine he's the swing.
Cam Wire's the duct tape.
But,
right.
But at the outside, you know, I mean, he looked good. I think Austin Deculus is an interior guy. I would put Austin Deculus at a guard. I mean, I know it's way too late to do that, and those guys have seen thousands of more hours of film and practice reps than me. But he looks like he doesn't look like a tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, stature-wise he does, but play-wise, no.
Right. But Cam Wire could figure it out on the right side if you're going to play Rosenthal on the left. And to me, I mean, you got to put your best 5 out there. I mean, you've got to find your best 5, and you've got to find some quality depth quick.
And if we're concerned about the offensive line and you're talking about going against like stud defensive lines, imagine seeing that in practice with LSU's defensive line against our offensive line.
One way to get better.
Yeah, that's one way to get better and probably make you real nervous.
Yeah.
Going against Ollie Gay.
Yeah, like we can't block these guys. We can't block these cats.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way to figure it out is to put them in front of Glenn Logan, to put them in front of Jaquelin Roy.
That's what's going to be like on Saturday.
I mean, just put them on the outside of Ojulari and say, keep him in front of you. Dance, Big Bear. You know what I mean?
Hold him, grab him, do something.
Do what you got to do, man. But They have to have a name emerge from the offensive line. Xavier Hill would be my name off of the radar to watch out for, but all of them really need to take enormous steps forward. Doomerville needs to play. Martinez needs to play. Bradford needs to play. I mean, those guys can't go through another season or through another 4 or 5 game stretch where they don't get a rep. I don't know what the hell's going on with Cardell Thomas.
I was just going to ask you.
I don't know. I mean, it is the
freak athlete.
Trying to get on the track team, dude.
It's one of those stories that will go down into folklore of LSU football. I mean, it's just this guy that was a top recruit from Baton Rouge and was really the voice. He was the face and the voice of the class. I mean, when
he was a politician for LSU.
I hosted a radio show. We had him on, I mean, like twice a month, 3 times a month, just giving updates and talking about the class and talking about all the personnel. And for whatever reason, he just can't get on the field. And not only can he not get on the field, I'm telling you that Brody Miller probably writes a 2,000-word state of the program where he dives into quotes from opposing SEC coaches and gives depth charts on every single position. And Cardell Thomas's name isn't even in the write-up. I mean, it has gotten to a point where I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that.
Is he a 5-star?
He was a 5-star.
Under Armour All-American. I mean, he was everything that you wanted for a recruit to come in and be. I mean, he had some of his highlight tapes are like, this guy's could plug and play now. And now it just looks like he doesn't even know which way's up.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Not to go off topic. My jaw dropped when he said, I mean, if TJ Finley could go to Auburn, he might be able to beat out Bo Nix. That's Auburn's boy. That was Gus Malzahn's
That was Malzahn's boy. But now you've got Brian Harsin in there. And, I mean, listen to Cole Kubelik talk about Nix. Even the most loyalist of Auburn people are not sold on Nix. And, I mean, Cole played with his dad. I mean, Cole's a friend of his dad's. I mean, he does things that are very curious. I mean, from just being the quarterback and the way that he isolates himself from the team. I mean, if you watch them play, there will be instances where his running backs and his receivers are sitting around the offensive coordinator, and he's like on the other end of the sideline with his helmet on his head, like drinking out of a gator. It's almost like,
just checked out.
What's up, man? What's going on? I mean, do you want to be the leader of this group or not? I don't know. I mean, that Auburn was in love with TJ Finley during recruiting, but now it's a totally different group that is recruiting him. But Auburn to me feels like I don't know this and I haven't talked to him, but it feels like the leader for Finley.
Well, because Alabama, there's no shot he's touching the field ever.
No way. I mean, I've heard Penn State and Texas as teams off the radar to watch.
I think it's Penn State, being a quarterback.
Yeah. And Sarkisian's got a ton of respect in recruiting. Like, I mean, if you're kind of keeping up with this Arch Manning stuff, it feels like
Texas becoming the player.
Texas has become the player because of Sark, but a lot of people around it think Alabama was in the lead when Sark was there. Saban's like telling Arch Manning, "You're going to be my last recruit. You're going to be my last quarterback. I'll retire the day that we win the Natty after your junior season."
So tired of him.
I mean, this guy, bro.
Imagine Arch Manning goes to Texas. Man, talk about that, Brandon.
That would be great for LSU. If he
get him.
doesn't, if he
Don't go to
doesn't, if he
Alabama.
doesn't go to LSU, you want him to go to Texas. Yeah. So you don't have to play him.
If he goes to Alabama, that Manning name, my God, we just swing and miss on 3 of them, dude.
He ain't coming to LSU.
No, I don't think he is either.
I mean, I just
don't want him. I don't want to play him and him go 38 of 42 with 5 touchdowns. Like, oh,
not that I believe his grandfather or anybody in his family would come down and say you're not going to LSU. I just believe that they have an internal feeling of you're not going to get to LSU, are you?
What is it then? What it just
the Ole Miss LSU rivalry when Archie was there that was the Alabama LSU rivalry, and I don't think that you prohibit your grandson from going somewhere for that, but he grew up in that environment. He saw that. He felt that. He knew that. I mean, he knows what the true feeling for the Mannings is around LSU, and it's based because of where they come from. They're Ole Miss people. It's understandable.
Lane could pull that off.
He could.
That'd be awesome.
100%.
Poor little Tennessee.
100%. Yeah. Watch David Cutcliffe at Duke. He's the one that coached them all.
That's what I'm saying. That's
Right.
why they're still in his top 5. It's like, dude, you want to go see David Cutcliffe?
Yeah.
And I mean, David Cutcliffe got old your boy to New York. I don't even know his name.
Eli?
No, Daniel Jones. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Duke quarterback. He got him drafted top 10 because
Somehow.
of his ties to Eli in New York. But if Manning and
Walker
Joey
Howard?
Freshwater
Oh, God.
end up together at Ole Miss, they're going to put up some points, dude.
Daily, we were brought to you by Falaya Real Estate. Get in touch with Barrett Blondo and his crew over at Falaya. Remember, you can find them online at falaya.com. It's do-it-yourself for selling houses. Push-button offers, document automation with e-sign, very seamless scheduling, realtor-grade signage. If you get over your head, Falaya has realtor support on demand at a low flat fee per service. Find out more online at falaya.com. Call Barrett Blondo this morning at 225-939-6153. LSU Baseball is taking on Texas A&M this weekend. Chris Reid, former Tiger, is going to stop by next, and we'll break it down here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Welcome back in, Thursday edition of this Jordy Culotta Show as the rain has started here in South Louisiana. Stay safe out there wherever you may be taking this in. We appreciate you for finding us. Remember, it's always podcasted and and on the YouTube platform. You can go back and hit the replay at any point. All the podcast is brought to you by RMB Builders, Rhett Bourgeois. There's a lot of construction needs in South Louisiana right now, especially with the storms that have come through. over the last month and a half. If Rhett can help you out, give him a call or get in touch with him online. rmb-builders.com. rmb-builders.com. Rhett Bourgeois and his crew over there can help you with all your restoration, any of the remodels, any of the work that you need done around the house. rmb-builders.com. An enormous one for LSU baseball this weekend as they take off to the to College Station for the final 3-game set of the season, with literally their postseason life on the line versus Texas A&M. Chris Reid has been a great insider for us in talking baseball here on the Jordy Culotta Show throughout the season. He is a friend of the show who we bring back on here on this Thursday morning. Good morning, man. How are you?
Doing well.
All safe, high and dry?
Yes. Luckily, I live in one of the higher places in Baton Rouge, so we fared pretty well the other night, and hopefully we fare today and tomorrow as well.
Chris, your former teammate experienced some family success that we want to get out of the way. What were your thoughts of Coach Mulkey, Kramer's mom, as she is so affectionately known throughout the LSU fan base, as getting the call to come back and be the women's coach?
Yeah, I was kind of upset. Me and Kramer have a running joke that Kim is my second girlfriend, and
you and me both.
So so I actually before she got hired, I kind of got some wind that she was probably going to get hired, and I had texted him, and we were talking about the whole induction into the Hall of Fame thing, and I just let him know that my line was available, and I was available that night. I was available that night to be her date, and so I guess my line didn't ring, so I guess it didn't make the cut. But yeah, I mean, that was a pretty cool thing to see. I kept up with it. Through social media platforms that Kramer's on, and it looked like a pretty cool ordeal, and I'm happy for her and the family.
You don't have to know her personally to pick up the fact that she's a total ass kicker. How much did y'all learn that when she was so close to you guys while Kramer was around as a teammate? I mean, did she ever pull you aside and be like, "Yo, Chris, I mean, how do you let that guy? I mean, did she ever give you any type of advice or motivational speeches?"
Motivational speeches, yes. I remember we were in Missouri my freshman year. That's when they had Tanner Houck and Casa was the 2 stud pitchers they had. And I just remember that she had flown in, I believe, on Saturday. And we won, and we had a Sunday game for the sweep. And Kramer has not been playing that well that weekend, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe not up to her standards. And I just remember we were in the field, and Kramer made a play, and she was on top of the dugout just screaming, like just fired up. And Kramer's sitting out there, and he's like, "Oh, my God."
I'm back in Little League.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, Kramer, I was like, "Is that your mom?" Because I don't know. And he goes, "Yeah, that'd be her." And so after the game, we ended up winning the game, I believe, in the last inning. And we got towards the bus after the game, and she came up she chest bumped me, fired up, ready to go. She just being around her, you can kind of get that energy, that vibe off her. But honestly, she's ready. I believe she may be ready to fight 24/7. And that's something you're gonna love in a coach that puts off that vibe, because it makes everybody else around them, kind of connect with it and carry that as well. So, I couldn't be more happy for her and the family.
Kramer brought a bunch of attention to his hair while he was here.
Sounded like he was really trying to get out in front of it.
It is getting more now. We asked him yesterday specifically what the look was. He said he gets out of the shower, puts one hand of mousse in it, and just goes straight through. Are you concerned about your friend and what's going on with his head of hair right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's a tough one, man. It's not the, look, I don't get around the bush. It's not the best look, but I understand the look.
Yes.
It's like a TikTok.
That's what I thought too, dude. I just didn't want to say it to him.
Yeah. So, and look, you can tell him. They're not going to hurt his feelings.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
I
been
know.
a lot worse, a lot of worse things have been told to him. But he's an interesting character in the fact that he can rock a multitude of different looks,
Yes.
and honestly still look good. He may look ridiculous, definitely to like a lot of the older people in the world, but for the teenage girls and the middle, like the 20-year-old girls, I'm sure they're probably all over that. So
There will be signs all over AAA parks around America. What do you make of the Tigers going this week? Do you feel some of this Maneri magic possibly happening at the end of the season, or is this LSU team is the train about to run into the station?
No, I've been a proponent in the fact that I think Maneri still has his magic in the tank. I believe they go and win at least 2 out of 3. Well, they have to win 2 out of 3, but I really do believe they go there and take 2 out of 3 from them. A sweep would be obviously the best case scenario, but they haven't swept anybody yet this year.
No.
So I'm going to hold that in reserve until they show me that they can do that. And they have it in the tank. Look, with McHale coming on strong right now as the third starter, I don't see why, maybe save best for last. I don't see why not. I don't see why they can't, sweep a Texas A&M team that's, they're on paper. They're you look at their schedule and you look at their
strength schedule.
I'm blanking out on it. But you look at their record and whatnot. And they, I think they're better than they really are and what they're showing. They're kind of sneaky, but at the same time, LSU I feel like it's been hot right now, and with our pitching kind of matching up with our hitting got hot a little bit. I don't see why we can't go there, at least win 2 out of 3, and then get into the SEC tournament and see if we can't make some noise there.
Chris, Trey Morgan, this cat's batting .450 over the last 10 games. He makes plays that makes you stand up when you are watching him. What do you make of the impact that this freshman has had both in the field and at the plate this season?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. At the beginning of the year, when everybody was gawking over Dylan Cruz, to the people that watch games with me or around me pretty often, they know that I was higher on Trey Morgan than I was on Dylan Cruz, and that's not a knock to I'm not saying like trying to butt one up against the other, but they both have their specific abilities that they do well in. But for me, I thought Trey was the more dynamic, complete player. I feel like his swing is more in line with how I would actually swing, how I would hit. He's just way more. He's very athletic. At first base, like you said, he makes plays and he makes them look so easy. Yeah. And I can't tell you. I don't even know how many runs he has saved this year for some of our infielders on the left side, and even on the right side as well. But and then hitting, he's been clutch. I mean, 450 is an absolute ridiculous number. I remember when I thought I did pretty well my freshman year when I batted like 340 something in SEC play, and this dude, I think I saw his batting 400 in SEC play. Yeah. So, he's doing things. He's doing things that I honestly I don't know if they've been done since maybe like a Todd Walker or Eddie Furnace type thing in terms of freshmen. Playing in the SEC. So you got to tip your cap to him. Hopefully he can keep it up. I know there was a little spot there for a while. I think he was trying to do too much. I think he was trying to swing for the fences a little bit. You could tell his swing changed, a little more aggressive. But in the last couple of weeks, he's toned it back down. And I mean, he's hitting as well as you can want somebody to hit right now.
And the personality, brings to the park. I mean, just he's infectious in the way that in watching him play. And his high top J's with the primary color gold is just beautiful. Beautiful. Giovanni DiGiacomo, since he's been back, he was 5 for 9 in the Alabama series with 2 homers, 4 knocked in. What type of security blanket does a center fielder like him give the defense?
Well, it allows your pitcher to be supremely confident in the fact that he can throw whatever he wants to throw, and you have, a very large portion of the field covered. He is one of the faster guys that I played with. I'd probably rank top 3 or 4 fastest guys that I played with. And his jumps are good. He has a good arm, and I was really hoping that once he came back from this injury, that his bat would stay up to speed, and it kind of dropped off there for I think a week and a half maybe. But it was really good to see him pick it back up the past weekend and really hit those 2 home runs. I saw that he only had 1 home run prior to that his entire career.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny that he hit 2 in 1 game. But in terms of the security blanket, look, if he can run down, basically any ball that is hit into the outfield, as a pitcher, that just makes you so much more confident. I mean, I remember it's like we had Antoine Duplantis and then Zach Watson out in the outfield. It was like we were begging the hitters to hit it into the outfield, not the infield. Because we just knew that if we hit it out there, we were going to be okay. So, that's a really big get back for LSU. I feel like we were missing them. Obviously we were for a little while, but it's glad to see him back out there and doing well.
Did those 3 make up your top 3 of the fastest players at LSU and your times, the time that you played there? Is it Zach Watson, Duplantis, and now DiGiacomo?
Stevenson, huh?
That's what I was wondering. You left him out.
Well, I didn't get to play with Stevenson. I came in the year after he was there. Cole Freeman, Cole, Gio, Antoine, Watson. Those were the fastest guys that I had played with. I guess those would be the top 4. It's really hard because Antoine has that track speed where he didn't look like he was running that fast because he was so smooth.
Yeah.
But then if you ask
you by
his
2
mom,
steps. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you ask his mom, who's like a track star, and she's like, no, his form is terrible. She used to always just kill him about how bad his form was because they're a whole track family.
I saw Mondo just set the world record.
He apparently didn't run right, so I'm sitting there thinking I wonder what she's talking, what she's saying about me. Yeah, I know.
That goofy bastard 17 looks like he's got 2 left feet.
I don't even want to see him on base.
That's right.
I know. But then you had Cole that looked like he was running a million miles an hour. Yeah. Anytime that he took off, he had very high get off rate. Like he just shot out of the cannon, and then Watson was kind of the same way. So Gio is right up there with them. I guess they can fight for that spot or whatever spot they want. So.
And nobody messing with Gio's locks. Mm-hmm. Best head of hair I've seen an LSU baseball player in a decade, bro.
The Mully's back at LSU.
That's a lot of hair, man. That's a lot of hair he has on that.
You have been that guy before, like Drew Bianco. You've been the spark to an LSU baseball team. You've been put into the lineup and seen LSU go on this run. What do you, when you see him making this impact, what is it? Why is he having the success he is right now?
Well, for a guy like him, and me and him are honestly quite similar, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. It probably in more ways than you know. Sure. But a guy that he was in the transfer portal, if I'm not mistaken, yes, and decided to stay, and he's been through a lot. Just like I kind of was. He has the same personality as I. That's why me and him were pretty good friends while he was here.
The shit just doesn't bother y'all. It doesn't bother y'all.
Basically that's what I was gonna get at. Is our personalities allow us to deal with a lot of things, a lot of tough things, and not let it affect us. And I think you're really seeing that pay dividends to him right now. He didn't have the easiest year this year. And I know a lot of people, I guess hate on him for his lack there of hitting at some point. But he's actually super athletic, as you're seeing right now. He's basically a Swiss Army knife and can play anywhere that they need him to. But I feel like he's really growing into that second base spot, and his batting is coming around. And, I'm excited and very happy for him to start seeing that success, and hopefully he keeps it up, because he can be a very large and a very dangerous part of this LSU team going forward.
Chris Reid, always, man, dropping great insight. Remember, one-on-one training, if you were looking for it in the Baton Rouge area, there's no better teacher right now that is out there working with the youth than Chris Reid. He's easy to find on social media. Slide up in his DMs. Next thing you know, he'll be working with your kids, making them a better baseball player.
Yeah, he'll give you the cell phone number if you want it.
That's right. That's right. If you want to give the number, you can, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's 225-229-5025. It's 225-229-5025.
Write the number down. Get in touch with our guy, Chris Reid. You can hear him right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Thank you, bro. We'll talk soon.
All right, no problem. Later.
All right, man. There is Chris Reid checking in this morning. Good insight from him. And the Bianco Reid comparison, do your homework, man. Both of those guys dealt with a lot of adversity, but any time that they would be inserted into the lineup, especially when you needed that spark, you needed that igniter, they responded. And it's really good to see
when you got a guy like
what Bianco has done for himself and has done for really kind of the confidence of the team. I mean, you can hear that when you ask the guys about him, and when you hear Maneri talk about him, and it just seems like he's answered a big need for LSU baseball at the right time.
Well, that's what Maneri said. He said, if I'm going down with the guys that I can count on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a big statement for, somebody that hasn't had the most success in the lineup, but Paul Maneri still believes in him. And it was kind of the unspoken, the elephant in the room with Chris Reid, where it didn't seem like Maneri liked him much, but every time he needed somebody, he's like, shit, throw 17 out there. He'll get an at-bat for me.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing in sports, I think, is sitting on the bench the whole time in baseball and all right, you got to go make something for us.
I mean, Kramer had to do it right fresh off the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Still had MJ skin on him, so that's how he got that hit. Yeah, carried over. There's no way he washed his hand.
No way.
You have to ask him that.
Yeah.
All right, so good stuff today. Appreciate Brody Miller for stopping in, Chris Reid for stopping by here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Remember, you can get in touch with RMB about anything that you may need with repairs, as a lot of people affected by these rains in South Louisiana. Advanaclean, remember our guy Bradley Lynch, as he can help you out with water, fire, or mold. He is over at the house helping us out with some of the water damage that we experienced. Very easy to work with. Advanaclean is online, ADVANTA, clean.com, over at Industrialplex, and working around the clock right now is Bradley and his crew. So special thanks to Advanaclean for the support of the Jordy Culotta Show, and for being a great business. As one call, they were here. They're helping us out start to finish and get this thing tucked behind us and moving on. Jordy Culotta Show brought to you by Go Chevrolet. Thanks for the interaction. Thanks for being there, and we'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.